Warning: you must perform the high voltage power down procedures. Loss of isolation, or LOI, must be performed before high voltage power up in cases where service has been performed on a high voltage component or when diagnosing an LOI condition. Be sure to use the proper safety equipment when working on any high voltage system or component. Failure to do so may result in serious or fatal injury. Warning: constant tension hose clamps are used on most cooling system hoses. When removing or installing, use only tools designed for servicing this type of clamp. Always wear safety glasses when servicing constant tension clamps. Caution: a number or letter is stamped into the tongue of the constant tension clamps. If replacement is necessary, use only an original equipment clamp with matching number or letter. Loosen the cap on the coolant bottle, raise the vehicle, and remove the front belly pan, engine belly pan, charger belly pan, and the belly pan mounting bracket. Remove the protective cover, the terminal nut, and the 12-volt battery positive cable from the auxiliary power module, or APM. Disengage the two high-voltage battery cable retainers from the high-voltage battery mounting bracket. Remove the nut and the APM ground strap from the frame. Remove the nut and the onboard charging module, or OBCM, and high-voltage battery ground straps from the frame. Disconnect the high-voltage retainer. Position an adjustable support under the battery charger bracket. Remove the 6 battery bracket bolts and carefully lower the battery charger bracket assembly. Disengage the charge port wire harness retaining bracket from the frame. Reposition the high-voltage battery cables over the battery charger bracket and carefully lower the battery charger bracket assembly enough to access the ECH. Using suitable hose pinching pliers, clamp close the coolant inlet and outlet hoses near the ECH. Place a suitable coolant recovery container under the coolant inlet and outlet hoses. Caution: do not allow coolant to come in contact with any high-voltage component electrical connections. Engine coolant will create a conductive path and cannot be effectively removed, resulting in a loss of isolation and replacement of the contaminated high-voltage component. Loosen the clamps and remove the coolant inlet and outlet hoses from the ECH. Note: not all of the coolant will drain from the ECH. Now, cap the coolant hose ends and the nipples on the ECH. If all coolant must be removed, as in the case of a ECH replacement, force the coolant from the ECH outlet port by applying shop air to the inlet port. Do not exceed 100 kilopascal or 15 psi. Unlock and disconnect the low-voltage wire harness connector from the ECH. Unlock and disconnect the high-voltage wire harness connector from the ECH. Remove the nut and the chassis ground cable from the ECH. Unlock and disconnect the high-voltage wire harness connector from the APM. Unlock and disconnect the low-voltage wire harness connector from the APM. Remove the nuts and reposition the APM away from the battery charger bracket. Remove the 4 nuts securing the ECH to the battery charger bracket. Remove the ECH from the battery charger bracket. Refer to the service information for further details on this procedure.